Hello, everybody. My name is Jeremy. I'm from a YouTube channel called Red Means Recording, and I want to walk you through the track I made with Komplete 15. I am calling So Loyal. I've been a really big fan of the electronic duo Bicep ever since I heard Glue a long time ago, and I wanted to do something inspired by Bicep, which means breakbeats, sort of an emotional hook, some kind of vocal chop, and a low sort of growling bass line. I decided to use the new Leap engine and explore hot vocals as my first hook into this project. So let me show you how that works. Simple, I like you, yeah, I want you. So this is the Simple kit. It's a preset for Leap's hot vocals, and it's a bunch of samples. You're so loyal. Crazy. They can loop, they can be one-shots, and you can play them as chromatic. I really like the sound of this kit and the vibe of it, so I changed it to A minor, which is a way that you can change the entire key of whatever it is that you're playing back. It is synced to tempo. You're so loyal. Crazy. You've got these wonderful little chops ready to go, and there's also these really cool effects that you can trigger by playing the black keys. You're so loyal. You're so loyal. You're so loyal. You're so loyal. So some really cool creative effects that you can add on top of whatever it is that's playing in there. You can put your own samples into the Leap engine too, which is really cool. I knew that I was going to be doing a lot of editing, micro edits to these vocals. And so I went ahead and I found the samples that, you know, populate this particular preset and brought them into Ableton proper. So let's take a look at that. You're so loyal. So here's our main hook right here with the vocals. That's what it's like with no effects on it. You're so loyal. And here's with the effects chain. I really like vocal synth. I use it on a lot of stuff. Anytime I just want a little bit of sort of like color, or I really want to make something like super vocody or talk boxy. It's one of my most used creative tools. I've got a filter that brings things in and out, this auto filter here. And then multiband dynamics is there to keep the mids and lows squished, so that when the filter goes through different parts of the frequency spectrum, nothing sticks out too much. After that, I have Phases, which is the Native Instruments phaser plugin. Really great for that, swishy movement. And then I have Replica XT for just a little bit of echo. It's in my top 5 delay plugins. I use it all the time, especially on vocals. So with the vocals squared away, knowing that I had good chops and building up a sort of hook, I wanted to get the rhythms down next. The rhythms in Bicep are generally a combination of synthetic drums and breakbeats. And so I reached for my favorite, royalty-free breakbeat tool. If I need breakbeats to sound vintage, but I don't want to go use a, sample from a record, I'm reaching for Empire Breaks. You'll notice that all three of them are processed a little bit differently. This third one, I decided to try a little bit of Trash on it. Trash 2, its predecessor, is a legend at this point. Trash takes it in a slightly different direction, and I'm really impressed with how diverse the sounds come out of it. It's not just distortion, it's convolution and distortion and filtering and all this stuff all in multiband. It's really cool. It can go a lot harder and it still sounds great. But without it, things sound a little bit dull. Sometimes it's just that tiny bit of edge that you need to bring things up and have them fit just where you want in the mix. The next thing to work out was the main drums. Bicep's drums tend to be a combination of what sound like breakbeats plus a more sort of like hard-hitting, like EDM electronic drum thing. So I needed to get that second part down. I reached for Battery and started listening to some kits, and I found this one with this really distinctive rim shot, this one right here. And I'm like, I really like that. That kind of reminds me a bit of Motorrat. It has like a sort of very distinctive vibe. It's not like a perfect snare, but it really cuts through the mix. And so I used this Battery kit, but I edited it a bit. There were some chords in here. I didn't need the chords. I didn't need the bass. So added some extra hi-hats and just adjusted the effects a little bit. And we ended up getting this. You notice there's a bit of trash on this as well. Check this out. So you can hear it's not just distortion. There's like jingling and stuff going on. Just a little bit adds this really cool vibe to it. So don't sleep on Trash. I know it's not like Trash 2, but there's some really cool stuff going on under the hood here. After that, I needed a chord progression, and I knew that I wanted something that could act sort of as a long sound, but also could go rhythmic. So I started searching around for something that was like a very kind of classic warm analog sound, and ended up finding this pad sound in Utopia. Let's go ahead and listen to it on its own so you can get a sense of what the source sounds like, and then I'll show you what I did to it. So you can hear it's just this big warm sound, and that was perfect as a bass. But one of the things that I really, really like about some modern electronic music is when a sound like that gets rhythmically sort of like affected. Like there's a sound in a sound and there's a rhythm in a rhythm. So I started playing with what I believe is a bit of a sleeper hit in Reactor, and that's Molecular. This is a multi-effects plugin that allows you to stack effects with all kinds of modulation. So all the movement that you're about to hear is from Molecular, with 3 LFOs all stacked on top, adjusting this filter with some dual delay on top. You get this polymetric thing, which is really, really, really cool. I also knew that the track needed to get really big at some point, and I had in my mind a sort of like supersaw kind of really classic rave sound, but again, very, very rhythmically manipulated. So using Komplete control, I started searching for characteristics of sounds. I wanted a synth lead and sequenced and looped, and I just started going through these presets that were offered to me through this tagging system, and I ended up with this one called Dark Motions, and I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what synth it was. It turns out to be an old Reactor library, and I'm like, this is dope. This is great. Like, I don't know if I would have searched for this on my own, but here we go, and it sounds perfect. I think it's cool as hell being able to like jump around with the auto pan, create that gating effect, and just having this cool, unique synth through Reactor that I probably wouldn't have reached for if it wasn't for Komplete control. Another place that Komplete control came through clutch was trying to find a bass. I knew I needed a deep, like sub-bassy thing that could also growl a little bit. Something akin to a Reese bass, but with a little bit more sort of like uniqueness to it. And I found this Massive X preset called Deep Design and did a little bit of tweaking to it. And it's really cool. It's perfect when it's deep, but it can also growl really hard. So check this out. Beautiful depth, but with a little bit of growl on top. Check this out. Oh, it's so good. So that's the deep bass. I actually keep it pretty contained for most of the time. I kind of like making things feel like they have a lot of potential without going too hard on them, and this bass is perfect for that. When I got to the part where I actually had the first drop where the beat and the bass came in together, I felt like there was some kind of rhythmic thing missing. And so what I decided to do was find a more percussive bass, high pass it, and stick it on top of that deep bass. So there was a rhythmic element and that deep throb. So I found this really, really wonderful percussive bass from Utopia, the same Play Series thing that we used for the pads earlier, and I ran it through Byte, which is a sample rate reducer and bit reducer, to give it movement over time. It sounds really cool. It can get really nasty too. So those two together make up a really good combo of rhythmic and throb that I felt really filled out the bass. Another bass at play is this donk bass from Play Series Feel It. I also feel like 808 basses still have a really, really important part to play in all kinds of electronic music, and you'll hear a lot of it in Bicep's mixes. Real quick, I also wanted a very classic sounded almost house piano sound. And I think that these 40s very own keys are actually maybe underrated. There's some really cool stuff in there. And this preset called Yashar's Piano sounds fantastic. It's just like it fit perfectly in here. One of the things I really like to do in my tracks to add some fun energy is to just destroy the downbeat. Take everything out and just put a very unique sound there. And to do that, I decided to just go on a resampling binge of laser bass. Laser bass is still the GOAT, I think. It's really, really cool. I think it's additive synthesis, but there might be more to it than that. I just reach for it whenever I need really weird elastic sounds. And I just went and I sampled a bunch of single hits from it and used those as these downbeat obfuscators throughout the track. So let's check those out real quick. Give it to them. As the track came together, I realized that in the second big section, I wanted to do something special. I had this build up. It didn't really feel good going right back into the main beat. And so I decided to do this kind of big ravey section with a big old set of leads and a beat that just kind of like, you know, hit like big tom drums kind of thing. This first lead is called All the Rave, and it's an edited version of a preset that I found via Komplete Control. That was nice and like round sounding, but I felt like I needed something with a bit more edge to it. So I kept on looking through the synth lead stuff in Komplete Control and found this sound called Volt from Massive as well. So combined, they work really well together to give us this big, like saw sound with a nice round underneath. And I put them both together, threw an OTT on them, and ran them through Round beforehand. I love it. It sounds great. Playing alongside that, there's this little Massive X thing. It's got this amazing growl hiding underneath. Let's listen to that in context. Give it to them. You're going to notice that I have a bunch of other effects and risers in here. With few exceptions, these all came from different expansions from Native Instruments. I always like to go and look through the samples for these expansions in my DAW and see what I might have access to. And that's where all this stuff came from. For instance, these impacts and stuff like that came from the battery library. You can just pull the samples from the battery library into your DAW if you want to. So that's pretty much it. This track started with vocals, making sure I had some kind of emotive and cool vocal hook. Then I moved on to drums, making sure that I had the sound that I wanted there, the kind of rhythm that I wanted there. Chord progressions after that, basses to supplement those, and then sort of just, you know, worked out what else I needed as I worked on the arrangement.
Hey, you know what? Let's just give it a listen, shall we?
You so loyal.
So that's my track, So Loyal, made with Komplete 15. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you around. Check out Red Means Recording, my YouTube channel. And yeah, cheers.